There are just so many versions of HDMI out there now that it's becoming quite the headache in the gaming market. Now, are you one of the lucky ones to get a hold of a PS5 or Xbox Series X? Or are you deciding which console to buy still? Or are you upgrading your screen to fit your shiny new console? If so, what do you look out for? The common topic with all of those questions is which HDMI version do you need to get the best out of your shiny new gear? Now, I'm not going to lie and say I'm an expert. I'm not, and I'm pretty positive that I have made mistakes in the past when giving out information on HDMI cables on this channel before. So I'm going to put my hands up and apologise for that. Now, things like you need HDMI 2.1 to go with your PS5 is something I'd say which isn't strictly true, and you can use older versions. Also, information on which version goes with what monitor or which version is capable enough for which product. Let's just get it all out in the open and correct my wrongdoings and start fresh. This YouTube business is still relatively new to me, so I want to make amends by making this video. Let me tell you now, it is a bit of a minefield. I've done my research, so grab yourself a drink, sit down, take notes if you want to, and let's go through the world of HDMI cables. So let's start with the basics, the versions of HDMI cables available on the market right now to consumers. And yes, in between each version like 1.2, 1.2a and 1.3, there are models like 1.3b1, but these aren't always necessary, and these in-between versions define testing parameters of certain products, but don't really offer anything advantageous. So with that in mind, let's start with HDMI 1.2. So this was developed in 2005. The HDMI 1.2 cable was really the first HDMI cable to move towards the PC market, as VESA DisplayPort was becoming more common. Version 1.2 added a few things like direct stream digital, which is linked to 8-channel audio, and the ability to use low voltage sources through PCI Express video cards. It also introduced YC-BCR colors as well. It was also capable of transmitting enough data to handle 1080p gaming at 60Hz, which was more than capable at the time for your games consoles and even PC, which I believe was around the PS3 era, which didn't output true 1080p gaming anyway. Now, this is key to gaming data and one that people watching this video, I'm guessing, are the most interested in. When HDMI 1.3 came along, it again added new features to the cable, most notably the 1080p resolution at 144Hz. 1.3 also added DTS HD and Dolby True HD sound capability for improved audio and can hit up to 16-bit color resolution per channel. When HDMI 1.4 came along, it gave us a maximum of 4K image quality at up to 30Hz refresh rates. This does also include 2K in that, or 1440p as it's more commonly known. Version 1.4 also added Ethernet capabilities to enable an internet sharing connection between devices, 3D video, which no one really ever used anyway, and an important one, audio return channel, or ARC return as you may know it, which enables your TV to carry audio to a soundbar or audio device without the need for a secondary optical or RCA cable. It was also the time micro HDMI was introduced, like the cable I'm using on my external monitor right now plugged into my Sony a7R II. HDMI 2.0 or HDMI 2 is where it gets really interesting, and this is where high frame rate gaming started to appear, and with it brought a 1080p resolution up to 240Hz refresh rate and 4K qualities at up to 60Hz. This is also where ultra-wide 21:9 aspect ratios came into play, and if you've got an ultra-wide monitor, then chances are it should have an HDMI 2.0 on the back. And this is really where we are today. There is one more version though, which is very, very new, and that's HDMI 2.1, and this type of cable can carry enough data to give you a 1080p image at 244Hz again, but its best feature, you get a full 4K image at 144Hz or 8K image at 30Hz. Although 2.1 is able to hit a maximum of 4K 240 if you're using direct stream compression, which we're not going to be going into because that will make this video much longer than it needs to be right now. So with that all in mind, and I'm very sorry if you're having trouble keeping up or you're finding it a boring subject, I did tell you to grab a pen and paper. Which HDMI version is right for you? On this channel, and I know it's a very small channel right now in comparison to everyone else, we do get a lot of comments on our monitor review videos asking if a monitor will work on their PS5 or will this monitor give me 144 Hz? Or any variations of those two statements. So let's break this down. If you're lucky enough to own a PS5 or even an Xbox Series X, then you can, in theory, use a HDMI 2.1 cable and receive a 4K image at 120 Hz, as this is currently the max refresh rate the consoles can handle, and a 1080p image at 120 Hz as well. You could also use a HDMI 2.0 and receive a 1080p image up to 120 Hz, or if you wanted 4K, you'll have to drop the refresh rate down to 60 Hz. So this is all great, right? It means that you don't have to buy the latest and greatest products to get the best refresh rates on the market. You could buy a monitor with a HDMI 2.0 port and get a cool, smooth 120 Hz gaming. Winner. However, even though your PS5 or Xbox Series X is capable of hitting 120 Hz refresh rates and your monitor says 144 Hz capabilities, regardless of cables used or the ports available, you are at the mercy of game developers. As an example, right now on the PS5 there are only a small handful of games that are available at 120 FPS. Plus, there are games on this list which will feature a performance mode, which generally means it will drop the resolution down from 4K to something smaller, probably 1080p, so you can get the smoothness that is desired. Developers in some cases have also said that there is support coming for the higher refresh rates, like with Miles Morales for example. Now when Miles Morales was first released, it featured two different display modes, a performance mode and a fidelity mode. The performance mode features 60 FPS gaming at a lower resolution to get that smoother feeling when swinging through New York City. Its fidelity mode offered is capable of 4K resolutions but at 30 frames per second. So even though you may have a brand spanking new 120Hz TV, in which there are like 3 models on the market right now, or a brand new 144Hz monitor, you are still at the mercy of game developers. Insomniac Games have recently released a new patch to give people using performance mode ray tracing rather than screen space reflections, and yes, it does look great to say the least, but it is still only running at 60 frames per second, which is way under par for the PS5's capabilities. Black Ops Cold War has also been found to fall into the same boat. Turn on your performance mode of your PS5 and the resolution can drop to as low as 1080p to hit that 120Hz refresh rate. With all of this said, I can only really speak of the now. Of course, we are at the very start of a new generation of gaming and things are no doubt going to get much better over the years. I just wanted to address the comments on our videos in as detailed a way I thought is possible without going into huge amounts of information on data rates or other sciences behind the HDMI cable. Also notice that I've only really focused on consoles here and not PC. The same things definitely do still apply to PC gamers, but the advantage we have is that we have access to DisplayPort, which carries a lot more data through the cables, therefore offering superior resolutions at higher refresh rates. It's the console crowd that is seemingly struggling with this newfound way of gaming, from the comments on our videos anyway, and to tell you the truth, it's exciting. I'm super pumped that console players can now experience what PC gamers have for years, and even me, with a decent RTX 2070 in my machine, I'm still using a 1080p monitor purely because of the frame rate I can achieve. Now I do love me some smooth motion in my gaming, and it definitely helps with multiplayer matches for sure. The most important question through all of this is though, what is the most important to you? High resolutions or high frame rates? Answer these questions, do your research on the type of monitor you want to buy, and find out whether it fits the answers to those questions you leave on our videos. Will an HDMI 2.0 monitor work with a PS5? Of course, but how well you want it to work is up to you. And the game developers, of course, that only give us 60 frames per second gaming. So thank you very much for checking out our video on the HDMI cable, or the history of the HDMI cable and what it means to gamers these days. Sorry if it was just really long and boring, but I think it needs to be said, there weren't enough videos on YouTube explaining HDMI, and I hope I've done it justice, a little bit of justice anyway. If you did enjoy the video, then hit that like button. Please subscribe to keep up with our latest tech gaming videos. Also, let us know in the comments down below if you do have any questions on the matter. I will just literally try and read all of them that I possibly can to give you the information that I have without going into too much detail and the sciences of HDMI cables. I'll just try and be honest and try and get some research done for you if you do throw some weird and wonderful questions at me. But let's start a discussion in the comments. Also, to let you know, we do stream over on Twitch, twitch.tv/TechNuovo on a Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday from 8:30 PM onwards, so make sure you do pop over there. If you want to ask us a question in real time, live, then put the questions in the chat over when we're streaming live on Twitch, so we can start a discussion there too. Anyway, thanks very much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.